Hello and welcome to Hollywood Approved with Stacey and Yael. Stacey could not be here today. I am Yael. Each episode is an exploration of taste as we dive into the good, the bad, and the unexpected in TV and movies. Tune in for the celebrity guests. Stay for the surprising recommendations. This is Hollywood Approved. Yay! It's so exciting to be here. I cannot wait to introduce our guest. I'm Yael again. Stacey again could not be here. Our guest today is a queer icon, is somebody who means the world to a lot of us because he was the only person we saw on TV for so long. And I'm so excited to introduce actor and activist from Star Trek Discovery, Wilson Cruz. Hello!
Hi, what a lovely introduction. Thank you very much. That was very sweet.
Thank you so much for joining us, for joining me, for being here, for being you, for being on TV. I don't think you understand. I know we're going to talk about it a little bit more as we talk about our picks, but like you really spoke to a generation. You were all we had, and it was so wonderful to see you on TV. And I just want to say thank you.
You can't start the interview by making me cry, so
I'm
going to just say thank you and thank you. I appreciate that. Thank
you. Well, let's jump into what you're doing these days. Let's talk about Star Trek Discovery. The fourth season wrapped or stopped airing in March. You're currently in production for season 5, I believe.
I am.
Okay.
Almost done. We're almost done.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so we're close. What can you tell us? Let's start with, for those who maybe are not as familiar with Star Trek Discovery, what is Star Trek Discovery about?
Well, Star Trek Discovery takes place on the USS Discovery, which is a ship in the Federation of Planets. It started out as a prequel to the original series. So we were 10 years before. Spoiler alert, in season 3, we jumped to the future about almost 1,000 years. And so now we are the Star Trek series that has gone the farthest into the future. And really what the show is about, if you really want to, if the way I see it, is about a found family that works together. And it's as much about the human condition as it is about the sci-fi adventure fantasy that genre that we are. It's so much about relationships and how we find a group of people that we call family in order to save the world. And it's a metaphor for how we create community in order to create the society and community that we all deserve to live in. So everyone is not only an expert in their field and geniuses in their own right, but they're all challenged by these interpersonal relationships. And so it is discovery of planets and the galaxy, but it's also self-discovery.
Wow, beautiful. I know that Star Trek has been always on the forefront of progressive series. For those who seem to think that current Star Trek is ruining their childhood, weren't paying attention to the original series.
Truly.
Yeah, it has always been, and that is what people loved so much about it, was that it's a progressive series that deals with and addresses societal issues in a sci-fi format. And this show is not only doing that, but is doing it so beautifully that it's winning awards for it. I mean, in 2021, it won the GLAAD Award for Outstanding Drama. Oh,
right.
That's right. It is just an amazing series. Why do you think Star Trek has had so many successful spin-offs and chapters and iterations and movies, and it's been on forever?
The foundational value of Star Trek has always been infinite diversity and infinite combinations. And our show has taken that to heart. and run with it. But I think what has always been attractive about Star Trek is that it allows us to imagine what the world could be if we respected each other, if we if we celebrated each other's differences instead of um, being challenged by our differences. That it has always said that our diversity is our strength, right? As a people, as a species. That the fact that we're different, the fact that every single one of us, no matter where we are, where we're from, who we love, what we believe, that diversity and experience and thought is what makes the world and hopefully the galaxy what so beautiful and so wonderful, is that learning to appreciate and love your neighbor because of their differences of you, instead of being fearful of that. I think Star Trek has always had that at the forefront of its mind. But also, who didn't grow up looking at the stars and wondering what was out there? And here's a show that, because Lucille Ball, I don't know if you know this,
I do know this.
green lit this show. She single-handedly gave us Star Trek. She allowed us the opportunity to challenge our imaginations. And not only that, but also, what are we going to do? How are we going to leave the world when we're done individually, in a place that gets us closer to that to that goal of infinite diversity and infinite combinations?
Yeah, I think what's so beautiful is that we're discussing these really complex issues that are really a societal problem that we need to deal with, and Star Trek does it in a way that's like, hey, what about aliens? Hey,
right.
What if we do? What if we find a planet? What if we have all this cool tech?
Right. Yeah. Not even, especially the first series, right? When we're talking about the original series, when we're talking about that very famous episode that dealt with race, where, people were literally half black and half white, already having that conversation about race in a time that was, a heated conversation. Also the first interracial kiss on television, which was also heated. And we've done our own firsts, right? We've had the first gay kiss on Star Trek. We've had our first non-binary character, our first trans character. We have, Tig Notaro playing an openly lesbian woman. So, when we talk about diversity, we have the first Black female captain. Hello. So we have Black love on our show because she's in love with a Black man on the show. So to see all of that beauty, so many things that we haven't seen enough of all in one show, I know can be a lot for people. But once you're in, those things are the least interesting thing about them. They're not, none of these.
Oh no. Did we lose Wilson? Oh no, we lost him. Oh my goodness. Stay tuned. Wilson will be back, hopefully. If you're in our chat, leave us questions. Hello.
Sorry, I don't know what happened. I was saying none of these people are carrying around a flag going, this is my issue and this is what the episode is about. Not at all. If anything,
right.
It's the opposite of that. When we met Anthony Rapp and my character, and we understood them to be in a relationship, it was just them brushing their teeth in the bathroom like any couple. And that's how it was revealed, right? And they were talking about their day and their responsibilities at work. And, that's the way it should be handled.
Absolutely. I think that one of the things people don't seem to realize is that what you've done is you've given us a show that goes, hey, what if we take the world and put it on a spaceship and explore space? That's it. That's what it's doing, guys.
Right. What if your cast looked like the world? Right. And those people, this diverse group of people, does what the diverse people in this country, in this world does, which is save it every day. We save the world every day.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, the Star Trek is doing great things. Heather says that the only character type missing is Hispanic and Latinx, which I believe is incorrect.
Hi.
Right there.
It's me, Wilson Cruz Echevarria, Puerto Rican.
Oh, you?
And by the way, my character is named Hugh Culber, but we do know he's from Cabo Rojo in Puerto Rico, and we have seen him eat his food from his native Puerto Rico, and we're going to see even more of his culture in season 5, and that's all I can say without getting fired.
All right. Since you can't tell me anything else about season 5, what was your favorite scene from season 4? If you remember.
No, so many. There were so many. I think I had 2. So the first one, it was with Kovich, who calls me out on my on my what do you call my savior complex, or my Culber savior complex, and also in which Culber admits to the fact that as he's trying to take care of everyone and their mental health, because he's also the counselor on the show, he's struggling with his own issues and his own anxiety about taking care of everyone and what's going on around them. And I thought that was really important because that season aired during the height of COVID. We made it during the height of COVID. COVID was still happening when it premiered. And so many people working in the medical field were reaching out to me online and, out in the world, talking about their own issues, dealing with their own anxiety as they were trying to save the lives of people dealing with COVID, and they're dealing with their own health and anxiety around it. So it was a great way to deal with that. And then at the very end of the season, towards the end of the season, I had a great conversation with Michael Burnham, when we're in her quarters, and she and I have a heart-to-heart about, where I'm at and who I am. And I also love the scenes in the bedroom with Anthony, with Paul, in which, at the end of our days, where we talk about how, our own anxieties and our own issues in life, but we come together and have each other to deal with them. There were so many great opportunities last season, and so many more even this season.
Awesome. Well, I cannot wait for everyone to see the new season. But now let's talk a little bit about the things that we are watching. And I see that Stacey has joined us. Will be joining us for the rest of the conversation. Hello, Stacey. Oh, you're muted. While she figures that out, let's start with, no, we can't hear you. Wilson, what was the last thing that you watched?
The Lincoln Lawyer.
The series.
Yes, the series. My father recommended it. I was like, I had just finished what was it? Never Have I Ever, and I was looking for something else to watch. And my father was like, "Oh, I've been watching The Lincoln Lawyer. It's so good." And come to find out, it's a Latino lead. He's fantastic. Manuel Garcia Rulfo, I think is his name. Fantastic actor. He was also in Narcos. And my friend Nev Campbell is in it. So I was like, fantastic. And I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was great storytelling.
I have heard great things. I think I started it, but I didn't sit down and watch it. Better. I'm sure it does. It started and I went, I'm not in the mood for this. But I like that you went from Never Have I Ever to The Lincoln Lawyer.
Yeah. I'm diverse that way. Never Have I Ever season 2 is fantastic. I enjoyed it so much.
Yeah. Stacey, still no audio?
Mira, Stacey, ¿qué te pasa?
Nope. All right. I'm going to move you down while you keep working on that. I will tell you the last thing that I watched is Catherine Called Birdy, which Lena Dunham directed, and it has the girl from Game of Thrones that was like the scene stealer.
Yes. It is. Is that a series?
It's a film. It's going to be out on Prime on October 7th.
I just heard about it because I know Lena, and I just saw an article saying that she had a movie coming out. I was like, I didn't know. Anyway.
it premiered at TIFF, and it is, I think it reminds me of Moxie in that it is a movie that I wish existed when I was 13, but now that I'm an adult and I watch it, I'm like, problem. So
it's funny how that happens.
Yeah, so I wish I had been around when I was 13. Stacey, oh no, you're still muted. Oh no,
you just don't like me. That's okay.
She loves you.
I'm just kidding.
I know that she loves you. All right, I'm moving you down again. Okay, you keep dealing with that. Technology, man.
Yeah, child. I understand.
All right, we're moving on to the next question. A movie or show you just discovered. What do you got for me?
Okay, so speaking of watching things and going, that's bad. What's wrong with that? Issue. I'm obsessed with the Criterion Channel app. I don't know if anybody else has it, but it's gotten me through the pandemic. But Criterion Channel just has all these old movies, things that are rarely seen. And so I had watched the documentary. I think, was it on Apple TV with the Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward documentary, which was so beautiful, by the way. So after that, I was like, oh, there's all of these Paul Newman movies that I've never seen. So I just recently watched HUD. Which was
it's the best
fantastic.
I could do.
No, it's great. It's great. Okay. I mean, he's beautiful shirtless in it too, so you should see that. But what I love about it is that it's he plays an anti-hero. Mm-hmm. He's really the kind of a disgusting character. And at the time, people watched this movie, and he knew he was playing this anti-hero, but people made him into, their avatar, like that this person, that they wanted to model themselves after. And he was always like, dude, that's a villain. So I always thought it was fascinating. But it's a beautiful performance, and he was nominated the same year that Sidney Poitier was nominated for Lilies in the Field, and he lost to Sidney Poitier, and he should have. But anyway, go on.
Amazing. What is HUD about?
Which also, by the way,
yes.
Sidney Poitier, it's a Sydney documentary on Apple TV produced by Oprah Winfrey, which I watched this weekend, which was excellent. What's it about?
Yeah, what's HUD about?
It takes place on his family farm. It's during the Depression, I think, and he's trying to save his family farm, basically. But it's really about the choice we make. Actually, it's kind of similar to what I was just talking about. It's really about there's a line in the movie. This kind of brings it together. By his father. His father says, the men, something along the lines of the men we choose to revere create the country that we live in, something along those lines, right? So basically it's a cautionary tale about who you admire, right? Who you choose to admire, who you choose to emulate, and us, who we revere as a country, dictates what kind of country we will end up having. It's kind of deep, it's beautiful, but it is really beautifully shot. It's what's his name? Wong, the cinematographer.
I'm sorry,
something Wong. Anyway, he's a very famous cinematographer. He was famous for all of his black and white work. But it's a beautifully shot film.
Yeah, when I was searching for a photo, all the headlines were like HUD about toxic masculinity, and so that sounds like what it
absolutely.
Is.
Yeah. That's a more succinct way of putting it. It is about toxic masculinity. Yes.
All right. We lost Stacey again, but we'll just keep going. I discovered a Netflix series called Fakes, which is about these two girls in Vancouver who make fake IDs and then become the number one fake ID making business, I guess, criminals in history. and it's not real. The story's not real.
It's not real?
It's not.
Okay.
No, the whole time they're like, this is true, but we're pretending it's not because it's a crime, so we can't admit to it. And then you Google it and it's not real. None of it happened.
But it works for them if you believe that it is.
Yeah, it works if you believe that it is. It also like I thought it was a limited series. I thought it was like an Anna Delvey story. I was like, yes, I'm into this. But no, it's season 1 of potentially more. So if you're interested, there's more, except that it starts at the end. And then the way that it's shot is like, the way that it unfolds is each episode is the perspective of the opposite girl. So like one of the girls says, this is how, I got arrested, and then tells the story. And then the next one, the other girl goes like, that's not how it happened. And then she tells the story. And so everyone's
Two
an unreliable. And turns out it's all a lie anyway. So I discovered it.
I also want to say
my time back.
that,
yes.
I also want to say that I've been so into PBS's, The Holocaust in the United States. Really uplifting documentary series, but it's so good. Ken Burns, but it's so good. And you learn, stuff that, we've all learned about World War II and the Holocaust and all that. But I think this is the first time we get a sense historically of what the atmosphere was here during all of that in a real way, right? That, yeah, it's really good. I think, I can't wait for the next episode. That's how good it is. I
think James Wong Howie, is that the...
Thank you, James Wong Ho. Thank you very much, Heather. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Helping a brother out.
I'm going to check out this documentary of yours because that is interesting. Because it's funny you say that we all learned about the Holocaust, and I want to say we maybe, but kids today, not so much.
Well, and that's what's so interesting about the documentary is that there are so many parallels, frighteningly, to what's happening today. That's what's most important about this series by Ken Burns, is that he's really shedding a light, not just on what happened then, but how we are steadily creeping towards that reality again. Just look at what's happening. Just look at what happened in Italy this weekend, right? Look at what happened in Sweden during the week before. Look at what happened here on January 6th, and it's still happening here. So look what's happening in Russia. This is the first time that we've had a war of this size in Europe since World War II. This is the Italians just put in a fascist as prime minister a month before the 100-year anniversary of Mussolini marching on Rome. Drink that up for a moment.
Yeah. I'm gonna change the subject now. I have no segue. We're gonna talk about, okay, so our next question is, what is the first show or movie where you saw yourself represented?
My So-Called Life. I never saw myself on TV. I never felt represented on TV. I never saw anything close to who I am on TV until I got to play Ricky Vasquez. And because of that, because I knew that at the time, I felt like I was well aware of the responsibility that came with that, to put it succinctly. And I wanted to make sure that I made him so specific that he was universal, right? That that people could place themselves in him, right, in some way. But he was also the heart of the show, right? He was the beating heart of that show. He was the person who reminded every single character on that show of their integrity, of their responsibility, because he was carrying around so much. I can't say enough about Ricky Vasquez. I'm well aware that it doesn't matter what I do ever, that I am Ricky Vasquez, and I wear that as a badge of honor. I cry at least once a day when someone calls me, tweets me or sends an Instagram message, or at a fan convention,
or introduces
and
you,
says something, or introduces me on a podcast. And the fact, and I cry because it means so much to me that I succeeded in my goal, right, with that role, which was to help people see themselves, to help them understand that they were worthy of being seen, that their stories mattered, that the way they loved, that the hurt that they felt by being rejected by their family or their friends, the difficulty of going to school every day, that all of those things that they were experiencing in their own lives was something that was being felt by thousands of people. And evidence of that was Ricky Vasquez. And so I carried all that at the time. And now at 48, I'll be 49 in December. So it'll be 30 years. It has been 30 years. And I marvel at the ability of that 19-year-old boy to be able to maneuver through that, carry that, and still give that performance. I'm proud of him.
Absolutely. Stacey is back, and I believe Stacey's answer to the first show or movie where she saw herself represented was also My So-Called Life.
Baby. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can.
I can. Perfect timing.
Perfect.
You know what? The devil was in the details, and I had to kick him out. It was a hot mess.
Get out! I rebuke you.
Right, and I have a sign above my door that says "Not today, Satan," and I was
Not
like,
today.
"Woo!" Because me and Chrome were about to have a fight, but we got it worked out. I was like, "You keeping me away from Wilson Cruz?"
No.
I gotta say, I love how well you regard the Ricky of it all, because My So-Called Life came out when I was in the middle of my teenage angst, and I was Angela Chase through and through. I adored her. I had my own little Jordan Carolina, but what I didn't have that I needed was a Ricky, and I was so in awe of the relationship between him and Rayanne, and just the way that they kind of moved through the world not having conventional support, and kind of making their own family from that. And like when Ricky cried, I cried. When Ricky laughed, I laughed. It was that thing. And I love that does mean, because listen, I love me some Junito. I love me so, the new dude on Discovery. Like, I know you have roles, you do your thing, you are an actor through and through, but Ricky is my heart. And so I just, I appreciate it. I was like, I got to get on there so I can stand. Why would it let me on?
Thank you. He is my heart. He is my heart. I live in gratitude for Ricky Vasquez because, as much as he meant to everyone else, he in that show gave me the opportunity to walk through all of that again and use it.
Well, you didn't have characters like that. Yeah.
Right. But like I got to process what happened in my teens on that show, right? And use that performance in a cathartic way, and be of service at the same time. I knew all of that in the moment. So I don't know that I'll ever have an experience like that again, right? I think the closest to that is probably the role that I'm playing now, because so much of Hugh is another part of that I'm working through, which is, second chances. We all get second chances, but what we do with those second chances is what's most important. And Hugh, in a lot of ways, mirrors an experience in my life when I got to a point where I was like, I have to make better choices. I need to put myself
another
first.
crossroad.
Right. I need to still be there for my people and my family and all of that, but I have to make choices that I'm going to be proud of at the end of my life. So, so all that to say, these two kind of tent poles in my life, early in my career and then now in my gray-haired days, were roles that helped me process a lot.
Yeah.
It's such a feat also because first of all, we haven't even talked about the fashion, Henny. And Ricky had like one dangly earring and then like the little Jerry curl, super supreme. And
Oh no,
no.
we lost Wilson.
He was like, I can't take it anymore.
Oh man. Well, this is the second
It's
time
live,
we-
people.
It is live. We're dealing with it. He'll be back in a second. I'm sure he wants to keep talking about that. And afterwards, I will share my first time I saw represented. But until then,
yes, I can't wait. What
yeah.
was your what was the answer to your the one that your first question?
Last thing I watched was Catherine Called Birdy.
Oh yes. Okay, yes. I was trying to talk with someone about that and I said, who did I have a conversation with about that? And it was Yael.
Welcome
so
back.
sorry.
There
You know what I realized? Is that I had my VPN on, and I think that's what was messing things up. Because I'm in Toronto,
Brandon.
I got to be able to watch stuff.
Exactly.
Yes, the fashion. So, do you know the one thing that he always had on in every single scene, no matter what it was?
Is it the vest?
Nope.
The scarf?
What was it? The earring?
Nope.
What was it?
His crucifix.
Ooh, okay.
Because he only felt safe with it on.
Mm.
And it was his own way of, securing himself, right? And he talks in the series about his spiritual beliefs, right? That he grew up Catholic, that he believes in, but he doesn't. But, there's a part of him that, because he wasn't being taken care of at home, there was nobody there who really cared, that he had to find a way to feel safe. And I think that was part of his spirituality, that there was something bigger out there that wasn't tangible to him, but that he believed was taking care of him in some way. And so the crucifix was a way of physically seeing that. And I never took it, I wouldn't even during the Halloween episode, when he was dressed up as someone else, it was still on underneath.
I was reading something that was like, oh, it was only one season. I said, oh no, that's impossible. It was clearly on for 5 years. Like, no, that was just season. In your mind. It was one season.
It was one. It wasn't even a whole season, because back then
like 20 episodes.
It was 19 episodes.
19.
Wow. And the reason why it feels like there were more episodes, that it was more than one season, is because right after we were canceled, we went on to MTV and they played it on a loop. So they just played 1 through 19, and then they played 1 through 19 again, and then they played 1 through 19 again. And then even when MTV was done with it, it went on to, I think, Nickelodeon or the IFC channel. And I mean, it was never not available. I think that's what's been so rewarding about it, is that even though we were canceled after one season, generation after generation was able to access it and be moved by it. So while we didn't have a lot of Ricky Vasquez's new shows, later on we did, but like through the 90s, through the rest of the 90s, there was just Ricky. Some people have even, I hear it every year, I now have a tradition where they watch the Christmas episode of My So-Called Life every year together with their family, like in ways that people used to watch A Wonderful Life. Like, I think for queer people of a certain age, it's kind of been that for them. And that's a badge of honor for me as well.
I love that. This was one of the few, maybe the only queer characters that was on my house, in my home, on my TV regularly.
Yeah.
And so while I am not a gay man, and I am now Puerto Rican, I know, shocking. The first time I saw myself and really felt represented, this is gonna be a weird one, everybody. It is Captain Jack Harkness from Doctor Who,
Mm,
played
Did not see
okay.
by
that
John
coming.
Barrowman. No one
Oh,
sees
I
it
see
coming.
it.
So
I see it.
thank you. So
Because I get it. I know this. I know this life.
So
Yes,
Captain
go
Jack
ahead.
Harkness is or was referred to as omnisexual in that he did not care about gender or species. As long as you were consenting, he was flirting. Well, he'd flirt regardless of consent.
Right.
He would sleep with consent. But he would flirt with everyone, and he was cheeky, and he was, doing all that all the time. And I was like, holy crap, that's me.
I know
Oh,
someone like
man.
that too.
Yeah, it's yeah.
I
It
feel
feels
you.
yeah. So thank you, John Behrman, for helping me figure things out.
Well, so when Doctor Who became kind of cross the pond was during the Ninth Doctor, Chris Eccleston.
Yes.
And after
Although
that,
I'm just going to say that a lot of older people will disagree with you, but go on.
well, I mean, yeah, I mean, in the modern
Yes,
day,
yes,
for kids, or for kids, Lord have mercy, for people, for grown folk our age.
yes. Kids our age,
Listen,
go
these
on.
grays are covering them up.
Don't tell them
They,
that.
yeah,
Celebrate
it
them.
was Chris, and then of course right after him was David Tennant, and
Yes.
that's when when Torchwood kind of followed.
Totally.
Yep.
Jack Harkness, y'all couldn't tell us nothing. That was our dude through and through. And I'm big into like fandom and the fanfic of it all and the art and just the community overall. And so yeah, I 100% that tracks. I totally get what you mean.
Did I become such a Captain Jack Harkness fan that I went to the place in Cardiff where they have a fake memorial for Yanto, his boyfriend? Yes, I did go.
God, yes, that's amazing.
There
You
is
went
now like
in.
there is now like a plaque for a fictional character's death because fans kept coming and bringing fan art and like memorial stuff. So now there's a plaque for the time that he saved the children of Earth. Anyway,
I
We
love
stand
that was
grateful.
right. That's what I saw myself. All right, our last question for today is: what is a show or movie that you were obsessed with growing up? Wilson, should we start with you, or should we start with Stacey?
Because
Okay,
this is an honest answer, as problematic as it is now. But I was a young man of color in the 80s, so it was The Cosby Show.
Yep.
And then A Different World. Like those were my
openings.
shows, right?
Yep.
And before that, it was Different Strokes and Facts of Life. Like those were my shows. Like I used to wait for the TV guide, and they would have like the fall season, and I would read it from cover to cover. But I wanted to know what was going to go on with Facts of Life. I wanted to know Different Strokes with The Cosby Show, A Different World. Those were my shows, right?
Yeah.
And he's destroyed my entire childhood, me and everyone else.
You know what?
Have you
I'm
watched
separating
any of
it. I'm
since?
like, and
You
then.
have to. Yeah, you have to. I mean, I don't know how, but I mean, what it was for me, like I can't deny what it did for me, right? Like so much of that show was about working hard to achieve your dreams, right? And I took that to heart.
Well, the launch pad those shows were, and all the talent that it introduced and gave shots that otherwise wouldn't have been able to. But the theme
of that show was you can be a person of color, you can be Black and from Brooklyn, and go to college and dream a bigger dream for yourself. And if you work hard enough, you can achieve that. Like that's what that's what The Cosby Show was saying, right? That family and hard work were ways to create a better life for yourself. And A Different World was like, oh look, we go to college, we read, we like math, we like science, we can do big things. And so it was a big deal for me.
Have you been able to go back and watch any, or are you leaving it as a great memory in the past?
Well, you can't watch it now. I mean, I don't even know where you would find it.
I was gonna say, is it anywhere?
I don't know.
No, I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably YouTube. But then even then I just watched the openings because those were iconic. Like every season would have its new opening, and that was very fun.
Yes.
All right, Stacey, what is a show or movie you were obsessed with growing up?
So, did I put Sister Act too?
You
Okay,
did.
I was like, what did I put? Yes, this always happens. But so as a kid, I was a church kid, 100% through and through. And whenever we went on road trips or whatever, we had two movies that we were allowed to watch. One was Newsies, and one was Sister Act 2. So when I tell you, I've seen Sister Act 1 maybe twice. Sister Act 2, I could recite not just front to end, plus the Aretha song after the end song. Like, don't mess with me in Sister Act 2. Absolutely loved it. It was everything.
I auditioned for Sister Act 2. I was
What
almost in
happened?
Sister Act 2. I just didn't get it. Someone else got it. But I auditioned for Oh Happy Day.
Yes! Oh my God. We sang that in my
Oh
church choir. We
Happy.
thought we
Yeah.
were so cute. Oh, that
But he
movie.
did. I mean, after I watched it, I was like, oh yeah, he did
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Like, you did all right. You did good. You did good.
He did that.
City High, man.
Yeah.
That was, yeah, that movie, what Jennifer Love Hewitt, of course, Lauryn Hill, Shirley Ralph, just
Shirley Ralph. Shirley Ralph I was just listening to a podcast, and she was talking about her whole career. And when they got to Sister Act, she was talking about how her mother, she was basically playing her mother, because her mother
wow.
didn't want her. Her mother was Jamaican.
Mhm.
Her family didn't want her to
Be in
pursue the
show
arts or be
business.
an actress at all. They were like, we brought you to this country, man, and you're gonna be a what? You're gonna do what, man? So, she was like, it was very much a parallel story to her own growing up. So I found
That's
that fascinating.
awesome.
And congratulations, Shirley Ralph,
Yes,
only
so
the
well
second,
deserved.
only the second Black woman to win an
Do
Emmy
not get me
in a
started,
lead
but
comedy role.
woo.
And Black women are funny.
Oh, listen.
The
But
original
yeah, Miss
funny.
Cheryl, oh my goodness. Did you see on J HUD on Jennifer Hudson's show? And they
I
had
don't.
a little Dream Girls moments. Oh, yes,
I'm
yes.
gonna have to find it.
I think it's on, it's definitely on Instagram, but it's
My
on
VPN
YouTube as
sometimes
well.
works, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know.
Listen.
Wilson,
It does not
is
work
there
on
another film or TV show that you have auditioned for that would surprise us or that would be a fun
There'll probably be a
reveal?
lot of them. There'll probably be millions. I auditioned for a lot of stuff. Oh yeah. I auditioned for the Rent movie
Nice.
twice. I
Oh,
got cast in it once, and then Spike Lee decided not to make the movie.
Oh, that would
And
have been
then
interesting.
yeah, it would
Okay.
have been really interesting because
Yeah.
it was me. Audra McDonald was going to be in it.
Wow.
wow.
I think there was talk about Christina Aguilera and
Mhm.
Justin Timberlake, Neil Patrick Harris. It was a whole
Wow.
thing.
That is a
And then
cast.
I want to
oh
see
yeah,
this.
I know. And then I auditioned again a couple years later, and I was like, "Don't put me through this if you're going to just hire the entire original cast."
Mhm.
No, we're not going to hire the original cast. I said, because listen, I love, those are my people, and if you're going to do that, I respect that. Don't make me go through this. No, they're too old now. Blah 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 blah. So I go. They're about to start negotiations on my deal, and I'm doing a play at the new Kirk Douglas Theater in Culver City. It was we were opening the Kirk Douglas Theater in this play called The Perfect Wedding. Blah blah blah. I'm in rehearsals. I think it's like our not our opening, like our first preview, and my phone rings and it's my manager, and she was like, "They're gonna go with the original cast," and I was like, I'm at half hour. I gotta go, and I did my show, and I did the whole run. It was a month run. I didn't think about it at all. And then I went home and I closed the door of my bedroom and I slept for an entire week
Oh.
until my best friend walked in the door and he said, "Okay, that's enough."
Mm.
But yeah, there was that. Angels in America on HBO when Jeffrey Wright wasn't going to do Believe. I got a phone call. That didn't go anywhere. I'm sure he was just negotiating for more money, as he should.
Right.
yeah, there are many, 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 many things that would have been interesting.
That's the part of the
But that's the
business
life of
that,
a. That's the life. Yeah, that's the life.
yeah, it's the part that a lot of people don't necessarily take into consideration, because it's like, to be an actor, there's it's a mix of vulnerability, but also having your walls up, just enough so
Yeah,
you don't get hurt, and you got to
but
figure out that balance.
after 30 years, I think, halfway through those 30 years, I realized, oh, those weren't my parts, right? I
Mhm.
wasn't meant to play those roles. That was for them. And so many of those roles went to people that I really love, right?
Mhm.
That are friends of mine who did outstanding jobs in those roles. So it was like, can't be greedy. I get my fair share of wonderful opportunities. Um, and the only way you stay sane in this industry as an actor or any performer or anyone in this industry is to know that what's yours is yours and what's not is theirs. And you just
I
keep
like
it moving.
that. I wish some just politicians would
Hey,
tell their
hey,
bases to
hey,
think like
hey.
that. I mean,
Wow.
I mean,
I'm not saying, I'm just saying.
it's the only way to get through, right?
Yeah.
Especially when there are so few of us, especially in the late 90s and early 2000s, who were openly gay actors. And we all saw each other at all of the auditions, right?
Mm.
Um, and so it would bring me great joy to see Jay Rodriguez get something. It would bring me great joy to see Nathan Lee Graham get stuff, Billy Porter. Those are my people, they're my family, they're my friends. They got to eat too. So, I had to start looking at it that way. And what was mine was mine. And it was my job to kill it, right? It
Mhm.
was my job when I got those jobs to make sure that they made the right choice, that those people who were watching, my friends who didn't get it were like, oh, I could have done better. You know what I mean? Like I had to do my best and
And
represent.
you definitely did that. I will say, it's funny because you look at a character like Kunito, especially,
Junito,
where
yeah.
you're like, okay, taming the alter Ricky, the
Yes.
Ricky from the wrong side of the tracks, and
Yes.
but with the heart of gold, all that good stuff. But you're just like, oh, that's just going to be a come go character. We're gonna
Mm-hmm.
Sammy's gonna leave because Ricky's not gonna put up with it. He ain't gonna be able to handle him. And Junito was like, "Oh no, boo, this is mine. I'm gonna rock this." And you fall in love with them. It was amazing.
I loved that. That was the first time I played a doctor. It was my first doctor. Led to
Very
more. And who knows? I'm not saying anything at all right now, but who knows? Maybe we'll see Dr. Vargas again someday
hey.
very soon. I don't
I
know.
wanted to do just a real quick shout out for the question that was shows that you just discovered, because I literally just discovered this show and I was like, I need to tell people about it. It's called Time Wasters, and it's on Freevee, which is, I guess, Amazon's
It's
new, like,
Amazon with commercials.
yeah, basically they're ad
Ah,
supported, but they have these original shows, and this one
time
has,
wasters.
yes, Time Wasters, and it's like a jazz quartet from South London, modern day. So they're like really young. They do like covers of Wu-Tang and Crazy and just all this stuff. And all black. They get into a time traveling elevator and get transported back to the 20s England.
This is
And when I tell
unexpected turn.
you,
Go on.
yeah, when I tell you the shenanigans ensue, it is so good.
And you
It
can
is
only
so,
see it
so
on
good.
that platform?
As far as I know, I was kind of looking because I
Is it
was
a
like,
Freeview
look,
original? I think it
yes,
is.
yep.
Oh, I
And
see. I
it
see.
stars Samson Kayo, who was in Bloods, which is a British comedy. And then he was also in Our Flag Means Death. He's one of the sailors, one of the pirates. And he's starting to kind of pop up places. So I love seeing him. And I'm like, okay, I see you, Samson. So yeah, the show is brilliant. It's so well done.
I just remember too that um, before I finished, after I finished uh, Never Have I Ever, and my dad told me about Lincoln Lawyer. who never tells me anything about shows. So I was like, if he's recommending this, I have to watch it. But I watched The Man Who Fell from Earth.
I haven't seen it yet because I don't have Showtime.
Baby.
I can't wait.
Baby.
She would tell
those actors and Naomi Harris, honey. Naomi Harris, Kate Mulgrew, unbelievable. Like, and just the entire look of it. Now listen, I am partial because my boss produces the show and directed the first 4 episodes, but I would not have been bringing it up if it was not good. It's an extraordinary series. It's extraordinary in terms of production and the acting and all of it. It's just bam.
I need Showtime to get at least 2 more shows, so I'll be like, okay.
Well, they also have The Circus.
Okay, I wasn't sure where that was, so that's good to know. I kind of want to watch American Gigolo, but I'm like, I need to know if he has any male clients. And that's all I care about.
I don't think he does.
See, and I'm just like, come on,
so you're not really a gigolo.
Then you're not a gigolo.
I didn't write it. I'm just saying.
Tell him, Yael. Tell him.
Look,
I love John Bernthal.
Just watch the trailer on mute. You're fine. You don't need to watch the show.
This is true.
Trailer on mute's all you need. Yeah. All right. Well, before we go, Wilson, why don't you tell everybody where they can keep up with you on social media and what other projects you want to plug and anything else, and if you know the date of season 5.
I don't. I mean, I don't, but I can make an educated guess that is based on 0 things except my knowledge, which is minuscule, which is Picard will start February 14th, I believe. And they have 10 episodes. So I'm assuming we're going to premiere after Picard. So about 2 months after February. So February, March. So spring. I can probably guarantee you that spring of 2023.
Exclusive. You heard it here first.
Right.
But don't.
If it's wrong, go to @Wilson Cruz on.
That said, you can complain to me when it doesn't show up in the spring of 2023 on Twitter or Instagram @WCruz73.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Before we go, I want to remind everyone that Hollywood Critics Association has lots of content coming out each week. We have Pop Council on Mondays, this show on Tuesdays. I think there's other content, but those are the important ones. Until next time, Stacey, where are you on the internet and what are you up to these days?
Instagram, baby. Instagram, Twitter @StickyKeys, STICKYKEYS. We're going to go see The Inspection tonight and then Bros on Wednesday. Yes, because today is Tuesday. And then Friday, there's something, I don't know.
Did you see The Woman King yet?
Yes.
This has been the bane of my existence, this Woman King. So I'm hoping
we'll talk about it. Let's wrap up the show and we'll talk about it in a second.
Yes.
Sorry, guys.
Soon.
Got to end the stream. My name is Yael Tygiel. I'm ever at Yael Tygiel. That is YAELTYGIEL. If you want to know about other content that is on Freevee, may I recommend Leverage Redemption? And then you can check out the official Leverage Redemption After Show, a very distinctive podcast on the Electric Now app. There's also Almost Paradise on Freevee. And you should check that out because season 2 might drop and there might be an official after show on the Electric Now app. Maybe. All right. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you, Wilson. I'm wrapping up this stream. Bye, everybody.
Oh, wait.